All right, what's up, everyone? What's going on? Two topics at hand today. Number one, something that I'm very excited about, something that was a long time coming. I think should have happened years ago. DJ LeMahieu finally was announced yesterday. Finally, DFA'd by the New York Yankees, clear up a roster spot. Hasta la vista, one of the worst players for the Yankees in recent memory over the last 2 to 3 seasons. He cannot stay healthy, could not stay on the field. I'm going to go through all the different injuries that he had, or at least most of them. It's an endless list. It's unbelievable. So we're going to get into that to start, and then after, we're going to preview the Knicks Summer League and a few names that I'm obviously going to be looking out for, a few names that I'm going to be watching intently because I believe that these guys have a chance to become major rotation pieces within the next 2 to 3 years. So I'm going to get to that. But first, I'm going to start here, and something that I'm very excited about. And on a personal note, you have to feel for DJ LeMahieu. It wasn't his fault that he suffered injury after injury after injury after injury after injury. I can keep going all day long. It's not his fault. And it's also not Brian Cashman's fault for giving him that contract in the first place. He finishes 4th place in MVP voting in 2019. Then the next year, he leads the league in WAR. He leads the league in batting average. He's 3rd place in MVP voting. And the Yankees are left with the choice after that season, after the 2020 season, in which DJ hit 364, of whether or not to re-sign him. It was the right move. They signed him to a 6-year, $90 million deal. It was the right move. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Yankees shouldn't have done it. They had to do it. They had to do it. And it was only $15 million a year. You know, he was 30 years old. A lot of other guys who are just coming off a top 3 MVP season might have gone for, let's say, $25, $30 million. It was a team-friendly deal. He got the term that he wanted. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. That's not what I'm upset about. You know, $15 million a year, what does that mean? It's the New York Yankees. They spent $300 million in payroll anyway. Not a big deal. My biggest issue over the tenure of DJ LeMahieu was how long it took to finally get to this point, to finally DFA the guy. Took 3 years. The guy had a negative 1.6 WAR last year in 67 games. It's been a long time since he played 100-plus games or 110-plus games. And he should have been DFA'd 2 years ago, not just last year. I mean, that was supposedly what happened was Aaron Judge stepped in and said that DJ is too big a part of our clubhouse and you can't DFA. And at some point, it just got to this. It came to this. The Yankees, quote unquote, had difficult conversations. I don't know how that was difficult to decide that this was the best course of action. I think a middle school baseball coaching staff could have realized that this guy was not good enough and should have been DFA'd years ago to create an open roster spot for a guy who could actually contribute. And listen, I mean, it's been this long trend after he signed his big deal after the 2020 season. All these injuries have hit him. Triceps, sports hernia, wrist, toe again, quad, calf, foot, face, hip, and calf. Those are the injuries that he's had over the last 5 seasons. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 injuries in 6 years. Technically 5 years. 13 injuries in 5 years. That's more than 3 injuries per year. You do the math. Good riddance. And again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you revisionist history that the Yankees giving DJ LeMahieu that deal after the 2020 season, again, in which he finished 3rd in MVP voting, number 1 in WAR. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that wasn't the right move. It was. It was. And rightfully so, people out there have been clamoring for his DFAing for years, posted some feel-good highlights, some clips over the best parts of DJ LeMahieu's Yankees tenure. I will never forget freshman year of college. I'm sitting in the bar that all the underage kids used to go to. I think the statute of limitations have expired on that one, so you can't arrest me on that. But at DJ's at Syracuse University, the underage bar as a freshman, watching that game Game 6 of the ALCS. I really, the Yankees go down 3-1 in that series. I had zero hope that they'd win it. But watching what DJ LeMahieu did in the top of the ninth inning, the Yankees' backs against the wall, 2-run lead for the Astros, hitting that 2-home run to right field right over the outstretched glove of George Springer. It's a top 5 sports moment in my life. And it's something that was very difficult to appreciate based on what happened just a few minutes after with Jose Altuve hitting that home run and watching Chapman smile as the Yankees season ended in miserable fashion. But I will never forget it. I will never forget that moment watching DJ LeMahieu's home run in Game 6 of the 2019 ALCS. So, I could sit here and tell you that this was the right move. I could sit here and tell you that I've been wanting this for 3 years now. But I also could sit here and tell you, I appreciate DJ LeMahieu for giving me that moment in 2019, for giving us, albeit over 60 games in a COVID-shortened season, one of the best single-season performances in Yankees history. He was on pace for like a 10-plus WAR that season. And he was hitting 400 for a lot of those 60 games. So, I'm not going to sit here and also tell you that DJ LeMahieu's tenure as a Yankee was an absolute failure. He gave you what he gave you over those first 2 years. He was a mainstay at the top of the lineup. It would be an amazing thing to have him at the top of the lineup right now, with how well he got on base, and with that contact, he was able to use all parts of the field. He wasn't that slow. He was a really solid option at the top of the lineup, and I think the Yankees held out hope for way too long. It was almost as if they knew that they effed up and they refused to cut bait. They refused to rip the Band-Aid off. And whether it was Aaron Judge getting involved and telling them they couldn't do it, or Brian Cashman, or Aaron Boone, it was management malpractice that it took that long to DFA DJ LeMahieu. I just read it. What, 17 injuries over 3 years? The guy couldn't stay on the field. Every time to start training camp, to start spring training, you'd hear from Aaron Boone, you'd hear from Brian Cashman, DJ LeMahieu looks amazing. He looks terrific. And in 2024, you heard that going into spring training. You heard that going into 2023 in both years. He goes down with injuries. He's never the same player throughout the rest of the year. And the Yankees kept trying it and trying it and trying it. That's what they do. Every single time I talk Yankees, I tell you about the definition of insanity. It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It's the exact same thing they did with DJ LeMahieu. Refused to change it up. Refused to just cut bait and get rid of him. So here we are, finally, in July of 2025, DJ LeMahieu has been DFA'd. He's off of the Yankees, and it opened up a roster spot that could actually be used for someone who can contribute on the field. So thank you, DJ LeMahieu, for providing me one of my favorite moments as a sports fan. Thank you for providing 2 solid seasons on the team. But you sucked and you needed to go. And that's how this league works. That's how all sports work. So there you go. DJ LeMahieu's gone. Let's talk about the Knicks. Let's get into the Knicks Summer League, which starts up tomorrow night and continues all throughout next week. This is not like most other years, specifically in my life too. And I'm sure a lot of people out there watching this, where the Summer League was the most fun thing to happen from April to the start of October for the Knicks. There was no playoff basketball. There was the lottery every year in which the Knicks got screwed. And then we had the 7th or 8th pick, whether it be Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, Jordan Hill back in the day, Danilo Gallinari, to be able to watch the Summer League. And of course, the Summer League has turned into a different spectacle that it wasn't. Early on in the 2010s, where it was played in tiny gyms with like 50 scouts there and no one else. was televised on NBA TV. And now it's this whole thing in which the majority of national writers, media members, even team writers and reporters travel out to Vegas for the Summer League in 110, 115 degree heat. And everyone gets together to watch what shouldn't be as big of a spectacle as it is. But the NBA, as you know, under Adam Silver, tries to squeeze out every penny from every single thing they put out there. So the Summer League, big deal now. Knicks have 4 televised Summer League games, and they've got a bunch of young talent that you should look out for. And a few of them are going to be, some known names, guys that plenty of people have been talking about, plenty of people have been, at the time when Tom Thibodeau was the head coach, begging Tom Thibodeau to play them. And that never came to fruition, besides one guy who got a lot of time. And I guess I'm going to start off with that guy. And it's the guy that I think, and I have the most confidence, can contribute right away. And that's Ariel Hukporti. The Knicks have a lack of big man depth. Yes, they have Gershon Yabusele. He's a 6'8" stretch big. I don't know how much the Knicks will try to use him at center. I think that there will be various lineups that Mike Brown throws out there where there is spacing and pacing emphasized. And I think one of those lineups might have Gershon Yabusele at the 5. Especially in a game in which they need spacing against a team that isn't as strong defensively and physical defensively as, let's say, I don't know, there are a few teams out there. As, let's say, the Houston Rockets. I don't know, who else? The Atlanta Hawks. Teams that have these defenders who could guard 1 through 5 and have big men that could dominate on the boards. So the Knicks will be able to use Yabusele at the 5, but who else is the backup big? I still at this point need to see more from Karl Anthony Towns, the 5 defensively, for me to trust playing him there 25 to 30 minutes a game. And if an injury happens to any one of these big men on the Knicks, whether it happens to Mitchell Robinson, and knock on wood, that's been very likely year in and year out, whether it happens to Karl Anthony Towns, whether it happens to Yabusele, Ariel Hukporti will play meaningful minutes. Let's say Mitch gets hurt for half the year. He's going to be playing meaningful minutes for 41 games throughout the season. And listen, Ariel Hukporti, we've seen what he's capable of doing. He's a better pick and roller, the roll man in the pick and roll, than Karl Anthony Towns is. He's grown very adept at it over his multiple years playing professionally in Europe. And, obviously that translated in, he didn't play a lot. He played like 20 plus games. I don't know how many minutes he played. I believe he played the most out of any rookie. Maybe it was Tyler Kolek, but both those two guys got some run. Hukporti got a bit more run, meaningful run, especially because there were few injuries, particularly to Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa as well. So I really like what I've seen from Ariel Hukporti. And I do believe that he is the best chance, depth-wise, to crack the rotation. You might say Tyler Kolek, considering the fact that the Knicks' one true point guard on the depth chart behind Jalen Brunson is Tyler Kolek. Like, Jordan Clarkson is not a pure point guard. Deuce McBride isn't a pure point guard. Those are combo guards. Tyler Kolek might be the best facilitator on the Knicks team right now. I don't think that's hyperbole. But defensively, he's a 6'1" white kid. Not very adept on that side of the court. There's a reason why Tom Thibodeau refused to play him as much as the fans, the media, casuals wanted him to play. So speaking of Tyler Kolek, that's my number 2. My number 2 guy to watch out for. As I said, he's the one true point guard behind Jalen Brunson. He's older now, 24, seasoned vet. The Knicks obviously took him at the start of the second round last year because he was older, and you'd think at the time that he'd be ready to play. The Knicks barely played him. I think under Mike Brown, he'll get a little bit more run. Do I think he's going to become a consistent rotation piece? No, I do not. Until he figures out how to improve defensively, I don't know. I really don't know how guys do that when they lack the intangibles, they lack the athleticism, they lack the size to be good defenders in a league in which you're going to get switched on to guys who are 6'7", 3-level scorers who will destroy you, either in the paint, in the post, or whether they're shooting over you at the three-point line or working you in the mid-range. Tyler Kolek, I don't think at this point in his career, I do not think that he's shown you enough playmaking-wise, scoring-wise on the offensive end to warrant playing him as much as people want to play him. And Kolek did play the most minutes out of every rookie at 296 minutes. Not a lot. And yes, he's a very strong playmaking point guard. He averaged 8.9 assists in the G League. Terrific. Amazing. That's exactly what you would expect. Tyler Kolek also shot 32% on the Westchester Knicks. 30% from three. That's not good. It's not going to cut it on the NBA level. And you are going up against G League players. And there's an argument to be made, and this may piss people off or may confuse people. People may disagree with this fervently. There's an argument to be made that the defense in the G League is better. These guys are playing their hearts out for big contracts or just for the chance to play in the NBA before they have to sacrifice and go overseas. This is their kind of last hope. It's the last dance for them. There's an argument to be made that defenders play with more effort in the G League. But the size and the actual defensive chops in the NBA are unmatched. So, I'm definitely discouraged by Tyler Kolek shooting 30% from three in the G League. We saw in the minutes that he got when he was looking to be aggressive on the offensive end, a lack of confidence shooting the three. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to have watched him during those games and see that there was a little bit of hesitation from the three-point line of what the hell do I do? He was left open. Sometimes he'd take the three. Sometimes he try to dribble and drive and kick out. And he's obviously shown to be very adept at that. You need to shoot better than 30% from three in the NBA. With that size, if you want to play any meaningful minutes, and there was obviously the harsh criticism of Tom Thibodeau that he barely played Tyler Kolek. And Tom Thibodeau, obviously much more stubborn than it seems Mike Brown will be. Just judging off what we saw with Mike Brown, the Kings, how much the Warriors used their bench. He was an assistant coach there. Obviously, you got to cut Thibodeau some slack because last year the Knicks bench was atrocious. It reeked. This year things will change, but I don't think that Tom Thibodeau, Mike Brown, whomever is going to be comfortable, will be comfortable playing a guy like Tyler Kolek with his lack of size, lack of athleticism, if he's not shooting the three well. Listen, if he raises that number to 40% from deep, if he shows some confidence from deep, he's going to play more minutes. That's crazy for anyone to say. That just there's no gray area there. It's a black and white issue. If he's good, he'll play. If he's bad from three, he won't. So this is obviously the first test of this second season for Tyler Kolek. Will he be more confident from deep? Will he look to shoot more? Will he look to draw more charges and become a little bit better than a non-factor on the defensive end? We're about to see it. We're about to see if he's had any improvement from the first year he played in the summer league and then the minutes that he got in the regular season as compared to now. So that's my number two. Number three, I'm sure you could have guessed this one. It's Bacome Dadier. The Knicks drafted him last year in the first round. 18-year-old kid. He's now 19. He possesses the size. He possesses the wingspan. He's not very athletic. He possesses the shooting form. I know that the three hasn't necessarily fallen for him as much as the Knicks might have expected after playing, in Europe. But Dadier, he's got the intangibles. He's got the size. It seems like he could be a great defender in this league, and he's potentially a major piece for the Knicks going forward with the 3-and-D potential. He played 14 games. 14 games, the Westchester Knicks. Just like Tyler Kolek. Very similar stats here. Very similar stats. Dadier shot 40.6% from the field and only 32% from three. I look for two things here. Like, I think in the G League, guys are playing to impress these scouts. They're playing to impress the front office, the team they're playing for. They're looking to make roster spots. Bacome Dadier has a guaranteed roster spot. He's under contract. And there's a certain role that he needs to fit on the Knicks next year. We see a lot of guys in the summer league try to create off the dribble, try to drive and kick more than they would do in the NBA. They become hardos. They become tryhards. And they're trying to prove to the front office that they have skill and that they are able to dominate the competition against lesser competition. When instead, they should be showing the scouts, they should be showing these front offices that they are able to play the role that they will be expected to play in the NBA as well as can be expected, as perfect as they could possibly play. And again, you see a lot of guys in the G League trying as hard as they can to show their offensive prowess, shooting off the dribble, forcing shots when they probably shouldn't force shots, playing in the post fadeaways, like just trying to exhibit as much as possible. Like it's like watching those Mitchell Robinson offseason workouts. Like, we understand how talented NBA players are, but are you going to be doing those crossovers behind the backs, step back three-pointers in the NBA? No, you're not. So it makes no sense for me. Any other fan that sees the stupidity in it, for you to be practicing that when you're never going to attempt that in game. And if you did attempt that in game in the regular season, your coach, no matter who it would be, would excommunicate you from the game of basketball. And you never play another minute for that team in the NBA. Bacome Dadier has an opportunity to show that he's adept at shooting, at hitting the catch and shoot three at a high clip, to locking down some of the best offensive players in the opposing team, to doing exactly what he's going to be expected to do at the NBA level. Just being 3-and-D guy. And it would be a massive asset if he could show that he'll play his role to perfection. No one wants to see that off-the-ball shit. No one wants to see that. Like, terrific. You're able to hit those off-balance shots against scrubs in the summer league. Rookies, guys trying to prove that they're good enough to make rosters. That doesn't move the needle for me. That doesn't impress me. That won't impress these front offices. They know what you're capable of. They scouted you up until the point that they drafted you or signed you in free agency. They know that you're capable of that against lesser talent. You know, if you go play in a gym with washed up, D3, D2, even D1 hoopers, you're going to dominate that. And you're going to look like LeBron James. We know that. That's what NBA players are. We want to see that you were able to do exactly what you were going to be asked to do on the NBA level. And that's specifically what we need to see from Bacome Dadier. Like, from Mario Hukporti, from Tyler Kolek, you're going to see in the summer league exactly what they're going to be asked to do in the regular season for the Knicks. Pacome Dottie, I don't want to see any of that stupid shit. No fadeaways. No off the dribble shots in transition. Catch and shoot threes. And solid point of attack defense. Is that too much to ask for? I don't think it is. And number 3, or I guess number 4 at this point, is James Najee, a guy whom the Knicks acquired his draft rights, as an overseas stash from the Hornets in the Karl-Anthony Towns trade. He's 7 feet tall. He's got a 7'7" wingspan and a 9'4" standing reach. You want to talk about size? This guy's got it all. And the Knicks need to sign someone to the rookie minimum. The rookie minimum. That's one of the 2 or 3 roster spots they have left to fill. I mean, the intangibles jump off the page. He's got the size to compete in the NBA. His stats overseas in Europe leave a lot to be desired. But he's got the athleticism, he's got the size to be successful in the NBA. He's one of those projects. He's one of these raw athletic talents, a la Jericho Sims, who's got size, he's got the strength, the athleticism, but his skills on both ends of the court, specifically the offensive end, need to be honed if you want to justify giving him any minutes to play. James Najee turns 21 in August next month. Do I think that he's going to get any meaningful minutes on the Knicks? No, I do not. He'll be the 4th or 5th string big behind Huck Porty. But he's only 21. He's got time to grow. And for a lot of people who haven't seen him suit up in America once, this will be a good opportunity to see what the Knicks potentially have, to see if this guy is good enough to get that final rookie roster spot over Diawara, whom the Knicks took with the 51st pick in this last draft. So there's obviously a lot to look out for. I know it's the Summer League. I know the Knicks have one of the best rosters in the NBA. I still think that they have the best starting lineup in the NBA. Their bench has gotten better. You want to look 2-3 years down the line, and you look to Dottie, you look to Kolek, you look to Huck Porty, you look to James Najee to see whatever the hell the Knicks have here, and to see, and there's no guarantee that if these guys show flashes, that those will continue in the NBA. They're playing against lesser competition. We understand that. This is like the high school kid who was held back. He's a year older than everyone else. He's absolutely dominating everyone on varsity. We're going to see that. The majority of these summer league teams are made up of guys that will not make NBA rosters. Sure, 3 or 4 will. Rookies, guys, Cooper Flags of the world, the rookies who obviously have guaranteed roster spots. But after that, not many other guys that are going to be playing in the NBA next year. So there's a lot to look out for. These guys will have an opportunity to prove themselves, and it's something that's exciting. Again, I understand there's a lot more going on in Knicks world. They just hired a head coach. They've made moves in free agency. This is the next thing to hone in on. So I'll be watching, be doing a little more content on that. I'm glad I was able to hit on the DJ LeMahieu news of him finally getting DFA'd after myself and plenty of other people have been calling it for 2 years now. Negative 1.64 last year. Should have happened last year. Should have honestly happened the year before, but it finally happened. Good riddance. If you missed that, scroll to the start of this. I talked about that for like the first 6-7 minutes. If you missed that. So, all right, everyone. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Peace.